Here in Tampa Bay, Florida, covering the GOP convention, Congressman Randy Forbes from the great state of Virginia. Good to see you, sir.
Great to see you always.
Tell us about your district.
Well, we've got a great district. It's the 4th Congressional District in Virginia, and it's a district that's very proud of their military presence. You know, on the eastern part of my district, it's a great naval presence, the greatest port in the world and base in the world. And then on the western part, I've got Fort Lee, which is the logistics capital of the world. So we're very, very proud of that district.
You must have been proud to be the district where the Ryan pick was unveiled.
You know, I was so proud I was there and kind of got it started off, but Paul has been a great friend for a long time, and I tell you, he is intellectually, when I look at this ticket between Mitt Romney and Paul Ryan, it's the most intellectual firepower I've seen in my lifetime that can address the economy and creation of jobs.
When you talk about the creation of jobs and you talk about your part of your district, sequestration, of course, Northern Virginia, which is not your district, but Northern Virginia, Hampton Roads area, as well as the rest of the country, but especially Virginia, talk about the effects of sequestration and talk about the devastating effects, on families and members of the military.
Well, first of all, it's not just sequestration. This administration has cut $800 billion already out of national defense in just the last 2 years. And then you have another $500 billion that will come with sequestration in January. It will cost us 1.5 million jobs across the country. The aerospace industry says 2.1 million, but in Virginia alone, 204,000 jobs, and could, according to some analysis, put us in a recession for 10 years. But the other important thing is it's not just economically what it does, it's what it's going to do to us strategically across the world. In just 8 years, the Chinese will outnumber us in submarines 78 to 32 in the Pacific. We will have fewer ships in the Navy than we've had in 100 years. And this administration will issue pink slips to 150 to 200,000 active duty men and women in uniform. That's the equivalent of doing away with the entire Marine Corps. Virginians across the board, Republicans, Democrats, and independents, I think, see that and say, enough is enough. We've got to change this course. And I know that Governor Romney has committed that one of his first things he's going to do in January is rebuild this national defense and turn these defense cuts around.
You talk about what goes around the world and the effects around the world. Talk about this president in terms of foreign policy. Talk about the antagonism to Israel. Talk about the Arab Spring. Talk about the concerns there. Syria. The hot spots all over the world are just getting hotter.
Well, you've said that. The hot spots across the world are getting hotter. So his diplomacy isn't working. His military exploits are not working except in Afghanistan, where the military's been basically running that and doing that. But let me talk about some other things that you don't see on the news a lot of times. First of all, with Israel. Israel's our greatest ally in the Middle East. They have been for decades. And this is an administration that has just basically turned their back on Israel. The second thing, though, is we've been trying to tell this administration, as you continue to reduce your defense spending, there is a tipping point that happens when other countries start saying, we're going to start spending more money on defense now because we didn't think we could catch you, but now we can. And we've just seen that with the Russians, where the Russians have announced that they're going to now spend, based on our cuts, they're going to spend $700 billion to create 1,600 new airplanes. This is an administration, our administration, that had 30 different reports that told them they needed 260 F-22s. Without a single report to justify it or study to justify it, they reduced our number of F-22s down to 187. They've cut 235 F-15s and F-16s out. They're reducing our force structure and reducing our nuclear capability. That's making the world incredibly more unstable. And I think you're going to see a President Romney say, we need peace through strength. That's what Ronald Reagan said. It happens to always have been right. I think that's where America needs to be.
Virginia recently got rid of the one gun a month law. Gun sales are skyrocketing. Talk about the Second Amendment and talk about, if President Obama were to win a second term, the threats to the Second Amendment.
I think two things. I think, first of all, the Second Amendment is very important. But the Second Amendment is very important because it's in the Constitution of the United States. And this is an administration that has just thrown away the rule of law. And if you throw away the rule of law, unfortunately, the Bill of Rights go with that, and the Constitution does. I think this is an administration, by their own words, has said if they get reelected, there's nothing to hold them back. We don't know what they'll do with throwing away that rule of law again. But it's kind of like what they said to the Russians. You remember when they said we're going to have a whole lot more flexibility after the election. I think that's going to apply to all of our rights, whether it's our rights under the Second Amendment or our rights under the First Amendment to religious freedoms and religious liberties. I think all of those could be on the line. That's why it's important that we turn this around in November.
Last question. Talk about Virginia politics. Governor Bob McDonnell, of course, a very popular governor. He was in the running for the VP slot. Do you think that the one-term governor rule works in Virginia, or should there be 2 or more terms available to a governor?
You know, I wished I could pick that based on the governor. If it was Bob McDonnell, I would love to see him have more terms. He is a great governor, and the reason he's a good governor is because he just has policies that work. You know, and I would love to see that continue on. But I think whether we have one term or not, I think we're going to continue to have governors like Bob McDonnell who come up with ideas and issues that move Virginia forward. And I think Virginians always respond to that, and I think they'll continue to do that in the future. And hopefully if we continue to do that, Virginia is going to be a state that's not going to have the same kind of impact with the economy that some of these other states have, because all you have to do is go through and take a snapshot of the governors and you say, look at their policies and how they're failing. And no wonder a lot of these businesses want to rush to Virginia to set up shop.
Well, when these businesses who are told you didn't build that, you know.
I don't think we'll see a phrase that impacts them more all across America. Yeah. I'm seeing businesses come up to me and they'll either have a shirt that says it or they'll just say it. But I will tell you this, and it doesn't matter if you're a cab driver or you own your major corporation in this country. They realize if we don't have a change in November, we're going to have a rough road to hoe in this country with the economy and with getting people back to work. That's why this election is so important.
Congressman Randy Forbes, we appreciate your time. Thank you, sir.
Thank you guys for letting us be with you.